It started with a humiliating 54-6 loss. A beatdown so thorough, the winning coach publicly bragged he would never lose to a former high school coach. That public insult planted a seed. The seed grew into an obsession for revenge. And that obsession would lead to the creation of an offensive formation that didn't just win the next game, it would become the bedrock offense of championship teams for the next 40 years. This is the story of the I formation. How did one coach's grudge create a dynasty building weapon used by legends from John McKay to Tom Osborne? That's what's up in this video, the history of the I formation. The invention of the I formation belongs to Tom Nugent, an innovative coach whose creative mind revolutionized offensive football. Born in Lawrence, Massachusetts in 1913, Nugent attended Ithaca College where he excelled in multiple sports and earned 10 varsity letters. After serving as a captain in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II, Nugent began his coaching career at the high school level in Virginia. In January 1949, while coaching at Hopewell High School, Nugent was hired by Virginia Military Institute, VMI, to replace head coach Slick Morton. In his second game, William and Mary routed VMI 54-6. That was the loss that spawned the obsession. From the Rutland Daily Herald of January 4, 1987, in an article about the I formation's birth. After the trouncing of 1949, William and Mary's veteran coach Rube McKay was quick to tell everyone that he would never lose to a former high school coach. He was particularly condescending toward Nugent. Even when I was in high school, he was always giving me a hard time. He teed me off more than once. He was always dumping on us, too. We played on the William and Mary campus and more than once had to cancel games at the last minute because he was afraid we'd tear up his field, Nugent said. I told him then that someday I was going to kick his rear. Hence the planting of the seeds of a revenge. After the trouncing, Nugent worked almost an entire year trying to devise a scheme to counteract William and Mary's big defensive front and its linebackers, which always seemed to be filling the holes. Finding a solution became an obsession. Nugent began developing what would become the I formation during the 1949 season. He debuted this revolutionary alignment in 1950, and the results were immediate and spectacular. VMI defeated William and Mary 25-19. The coach who said he'd never lose to a high school coach had just lost. Revenge. Next, VMI upset 28-point favorite Georgia Tech 14-13. The Keydets posted over 400 offensive yards in both contests, announcing the arrival of something entirely new in college football. The formation's success caught the attention of the game's most prominent figures. Notre Dame head coach Frank Leahy sent 2 assistant coaches to observe VMI spring practice in 1951. In the second quarter of Notre Dame's season opener against Indiana that fall, the Fighting Irish used the I formation to score 4 touchdowns, legitimizing Nugent's creation on the national stage. The I formation stacked backfield arrangement provided advantages. The tailback could survey the defense from his deeper position, the fullback could lead block in any direction, and the formation could attack both sides of the field with equal effectiveness. Previous formations typically favored either running or passing, but the I formation excelled at both. With 2 tight ends, the formation could power run between the tackles. With split receivers, it became a potent passing attack. This adaptability represented a fundamental shift in offensive philosophy from specialized formations to a truly balanced attack. The I formation also revolutionized the use of the fullback position. Rather than serving as a primary ball carrier, the fullback became a lead blocker and safety valve receiver. This transformation created the modern concept of specialized backfield rules that persists today. The standard I formation is as shown. Note that there are two wide receivers and a tight end on one side of the formation. The tight end side of the formation is typically referred to as the strong side of the formation. Note that there are many potential personnel groupings for the eye, referred to as sets. From this one simple look, you could bring in two tight ends and tell the defense were running right at you. You could split everyone wide and threaten them deep. Or on the very next play, you could bunch everyone together for short yardage. And on it goes. All of these sets can be flipped depending upon defensive alignment or which hash mark the ball is on. For a defense, it was a nightmare. They saw the same eye, but had to be prepared for dozens of possibilities. Take a look at an illustration that shows a number of plays in a single set. In this diagram of the Pro Right set from Nebraska's 1997 playbook, there are nearly 30 different plays that can be run from this single formation. Consider the number of different options and the number of plays, and you have a massive number of options, no pun intended, that the offense can present to the defense. You get an idea of what defense has to be prepared to stop. So, what were the bread and butter plays that made the eye so unstoppable? It boils down to three core concepts: one for power, one for deception, and one that was a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare. Key plays from the I formation playbook. Let's break down some classic plays that became synonymous with this offense. The first is the ISO. The ISO play is a quintessential I formation power run, and its name tells you exactly what it's designed to do: isolate a defensive linebacker. The basic concept is to create a one-on-one matchup between the offense's fullback and a specific linebacker, usually the play side inside linebacker, often called the Mike. In its simplest form, the offensive line will typically use big on big blocking rules, meaning linemen block the defensive lineman directly in front of them or the nearest linebacker if uncovered. The fullback's job is crucial. He attacks the designated hole, often a bubble or gap in the defensive line, and takes on the isolated linebacker, aiming to drive him out of the play. The tailback then takes the handoff from the quarterback and follows the fullback's block, hitting the hole. The goal is to create a clear running lane by having the fullback remove the primary run-stopping linebacker at the point of attack. It's a physical, tone-setting play that dares the defense to stop a direct assault. The simplicity and effectiveness of getting your fat guys on their fat guys and having the fullback take out their key tackler made ISO a staple for decades. Next, the triple option. While the I formation is often associated with power running, it was also an incredibly effective platform for option football, most notably the triple option. This play is a defensive coordinator's nightmare because it represents three potential ball carriers on a single snap. Here's how it generally works from the I. The dive, option 1. The quarterback takes the snap and extends the ball to the fullback, who aims for a quick dive play, usually off tackle or up the middle. The quarterback reads a designated defensive lineman, often the defensive end or defensive tackle on the play side. If this dive key crashes down to stop the fullback, the quarterback pulls the ball. If the dive key stays wide to contain the outside, the quarterback gives the ball to the fullback. The second option is the quarterback keep. If the quarterback pulls the ball from the fullback, he attacks the edge of the defense. Now he reads a second unblocked defender, typically the defensive end or an outside linebacker, the pitch key. And the third option is the pitch. As the quarterback runs toward the sideline, if the pitch key attacks him, the quarterback will pitch the ball laterally to a trailing tailback who has run a path parallel to the quarterback, maintaining a few yards of separation. If the pitch key stays wide to cover the tailback, the quarterback turns upfield and runs the ball himself. The offensive line's blocking is designed to leave these key defenders unblocked, allowing the quarterback's read to dictate where the ball goes. The success of the triple option relies on the precise execution and quick decision-making by the quarterback. It forces defenses to be incredibly disciplined, as one wrong step by a defender can lead to a huge gain for the offense. The ability to attack multiple fronts of the defense on a single play based on how the defense reacts is what made the I formation triple option so potent for teams like Nebraska. The next play is the fullback trap. The fullback trap is a classic misdirection play that takes advantage of aggressive defensive linemen. It's designed to hit quickly and catch the defense off guard. Here's the typical execution. The play often looks like it's going one way, perhaps with the tailback faking a sweep or an off-tackle run. Well, the defensive line reacts to this initial movement. An offensive guard from the backside of the play pulls out of his stance and runs laterally behind the center. This pulling guard's assignment is to trap or kick out a specific defensive lineman on the play side, usually a defensive tackle who has penetrated upfield, expecting a play to his side or trying to get into the backfield. The guard aims for the inside hip of this defender to seal him off from the inside. The fullback takes a quick handoff from the quarterback and aims for the hole created by the pulling guard's trap block. The center and the other linemen will typically block down or away from the trap, helping to create the running lane. The beauty of the trap play is that it uses a defender's own aggressiveness against him. The defensive tackle charges forward only to be hit from the side by the pulling guard, opening a sudden lane for the fullback. It's a quick hitting play that can gash a defense for solid yardage, especially if they are over pursuing or not coached on how to react to trap blocks. These three plays, ISO, triple option, and fullback trap, represent the versatility of the I formation. Direct power, complex option reads, and clever misdirection, all from the same basic look. But wait, there's more. I had to include some more because these are a couple of my favorite plays. The first is student body right and student body left. Student body right became a signature play of John McKay's USC Trojans. These sweeps utilize the entire offensive line pulling in one direction, creating an overwhelming numerical advantage at the point of attack. The tailback would receive a pitch from the quarterback and follow his blockers around the end. The play's genius lay in its simplicity. Every player had a clear assignment, and the formation naturally created the blocking angles needed for success. Next, the counter sweep, one of my favorite plays of all time. The counter sweep, developed by Nebraska's Tom Osborne and offensive line coach Milt Tenneber, combined misdirection with devastating blocking schemes. The play appeared to attack one side of the defense while actually going in the opposite direction. From the book The Assembly Line by Nebraska's offensive line coach Milt Tenneber about the counter sweep. During the 70s, we ran the counter sweep by pulling both guards. Defenses started to take that away from us by keying the guards and having the front side linebacker out to stop the play before a running back could get there. We gave up on that scheme and started running the play by pulling the backside guard and tackle. During the first year of running the counter sweep, we were successful in getting the ball outside. Most people had no idea how to defend the play. It averaged over 10 yards a carry during that first year. We pulled the guard and tackle parallel to the line of scrimmage without gaining any depth. We wanted to get them to the point of attack as fast as we could so as not to delay the ball carrier any more than we had to. Now, this quote shows how offenses evolve as defense evolves. Now the play. The quarterback hands off to the tailback, whom, after taking a step counter to the actual direction of the play, would fall in behind 650-ish pounds of pulling offensive linemen. The key is the play side guard and tackle block down, trapping defenders from getting to the outside. The backside guard and tackle pull across the formation in front of the tailback, creating a devastating wall of offense. One of the reasons this play can be effective is because defensive coaches will tell their middle linebacker to watch the fullback. The fullback is part of the fake. He's going out to block the backside defensive end or outside linebacker. If the middle linebacker is following him, he's already taken himself out of the play. Joe Gibbs of the Washington Redskins would later take this play into the NFL and would become famous as the counter tray. One more detail about blocking schemes. Early on, it was big on big blocking. I was oversimplifying that a little bit. And over the years, let's say from John McKay in the 1960s to Tom Osborne teams in the 1990s, blocking schemes evolved from being simple to being incredibly complex. Centers became the quarterbacks of the offensive line and began making line calls. In other words, telling the line how to block on each play. Zone blocking was invented. And at some point, I may try to do a video about how offensive line techniques changed historically, but for now, I've tried to keep this all very simple. So we've seen iconic plays, but to truly dominate, you need the right generals on the sideline and the right soldiers on the field. And the I formation attracted some of the greatest legends the game has ever known. John McKay transformed the I formation into an art form at USC from 1960 to 1975. After Tom Nugent introduced McKay to the formation in 1961, McKay replaced his pro T offense with the I and never looked back. His Trojans won 4 national championships in 1962, 67, 72, and 1974 and produced 2 Heisman Trophy winners running from this formation. McKay's 1972 team is considered one of the greatest in college football history, going undefeated with 12 wins and never trailing in the second half of any game. McKay's student body right and student body left plays became legendary, with the entire team flowing in one direction to overwhelm defenses at the point of attack. O.J. Simpson became the I formation's first superstar, winning the 1968 Heisman Trophy while rushing for 1,709 yards and 22 touchdowns. His ability to read defenses from the deep tailback position, then explode through gaps created by his fullbacks blocking, established the template for I formation tailbacks. Mike Garrett preceded Simpson as USC's first Heisman winner from the I formation in 1965. Garrett's success proved the formation could showcase smaller, quicker backs as effectively as power runners. His 1,440 rushing yards demonstrated the I formation's adaptability to different running styles. Tom Osborne at Nebraska transformed the I formation by incorporating option principles, creating the Nebraska I option offense that dominated college football for 2 decades. As head coach from 1973 to 1997, Osborne compiled a 255, 49, and 3 record for an incredible .836 winning percentage. Nebraska won 5 national championships under Osborne, 2 as offensive coordinator under Bob Devaney, and 3 in the 90s as head coach. His 1995 team is often cited as the greatest college football team ever assembled. That squad averaged over 400 yards rushing per game while going undefeated. Osborne's final 5 seasons saw an astonishing 60 wins and 3 losses. Mike Rozier, the 1983 Heisman Trophy winner, set a then-school record with 2,148 rushing yards and an NCAA scoring record of 29 rushing touchdowns, becoming the centerpiece of Nebraska's scoring explosion offense. Tommy Frazier never won the Heisman, but he might be the greatest I-option quarterback ever. He led Nebraska to back-to-back national championships in 1994 and 1995, posting a 33-3 record as a starter. One coach who masterfully adapted the I formation was Bill McCartney at Colorado, who famously employed his I bone variation. Arriving in Boulder in 1982, McCartney inherited a struggling program. After experimenting with the wishbone, he evolved his office into the I-bone, a potent hybrid that combined elements of the I formation with option principles. This innovative approach, with quarterback Darian Hagan at the helm, allowed the Buffaloes to run all the option and non-option plays the wishbone, Houston veer, and I formation, but with greater deception and versatility. The I-bone became the cornerstone of Colorado's resurgence, leading them to 3 consecutive Big 8 conference titles from 1989 to 1991, and culminating in a consensus national championship in 1990. McCartney's ability to evolve and perfectly tailor the I-bone to his personnel solidified his place as one of the I formation's most impactful proponents. Tom Nugent later arrived at the University of Maryland in 1959 after successful stints at VMI and Florida State. It was at Maryland that Nugent further refined the formation, introducing his distinct Maryland I form variation, also known as the stack I or golden I. This offensive scheme was designed to maximize the running game, much like the power I, but with a unique twist. The fullback, third back, and tailback would align directly in front of each other, creating a stacked look. This specific alignment was intended to generate even more confusion for defenses and provide powerful blocking angles for explosive runs. The Maryland I became a signature in Nugent's teams and a testament to his continued ingenuity in adapting the I formation to dominate on the ground. Several NFL teams wielded the I formation to great success. Legendary franchises like the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 1970s, with their bruising running back Franco Harris, ran out of a pro set, but also used an I formation attack, paving the way for multiple Super Bowl victories. The Miami Dolphins of the early 70s, including the only undefeated team in NFL history, utilized the I to unleash an incredibly powerful ground attack featuring Larry Zonka at fullback and Mercury Morris at running back, demonstrating the formation's pure effectiveness at the highest level of the sport. Teams like the Washington Redskins under Joe Gibbs, with their Hogs offensive line and a stable of talented running backs, showcased how a disciplined and well-executed I formation could still be a championship caliber strategy in the evolving NFL. The common thread among all successful I formation teams was physical dominance. These programs recruited large, powerful offensive lines and versatile backs who could run and catch. The formation's success created a recruiting pipeline of players specifically suited for its demands, perpetuating its dominance throughout the 1970s and 1980s. The I formation's dominance began to wane in the 1990s as defensive schemes evolved and offensive philosophy shifted. The rise of spread offenses, pioneered by coaches like Rich Rodriguez and Urban Meyer, emphasized space and speed over power and physicality that defined I formation football. Modern defenses with faster linebackers and sophisticated coverage schemes made the I formation's predictable alignments increasingly vulnerable. However, the formation's influence on modern football cannot be overstated. Many contemporary offensive concepts trace their roots directly to I formation principles. The pistol formation. Popularized by Chris Ault at Nevada, the pistol places the quarterback in a shortened shotgun position with a running back directly behind him. This alignment provides many of the I formation's advantages, particularly the downhill running threat, while adapting to modern passing requirements. Power running concepts. The gap scheme blocking principles pioneered in I formation power plays remain fundamental to modern running games. NFL teams and power running college football programs still use these concepts, even if they align in different formations. Read option principles. The option concepts perfected in the I formation directly influence today's read option and RPO run pass option plays. Modern spread option offenses use the same decision-making principles, with quarterbacks reading defensive reactions to determine ball distribution. In a very basic sense, teams replace the fullback with the receiver. Goal line and short yardage. Teams still turn to I formation principles in crucial short yardage situations. The formation's power advantages and clear blocking angles make it ideal when you absolutely need a yard or two. Teaching tool. Many high school and youth programs continue using I formation concepts because they teach fundamental football principles effectively. The clear assignments and basic blocking schemes help young players understand the game's core concepts. The I formation's journey from innovation to obsolescence reflects the eternal evolution of football strategy. Tom Nugent's creation, born from necessity and refined by legends, dominated college football for 4 decades by combining power, precision, and adaptability. The formation launched Hall of Fame careers, powered championship runs, and established principles that continue to influence modern football. Well, today's spread offenses and read option attacks may look dramatically different from the I formation's power running game. They share the same fundamental goal, creating advantages through superior strategy and execution. The I formation's greatest legacy lies not in the trophies it won or in the records it produced, but in proving that innovation and adaptation remain football's most valuable commodities. If you enjoyed this video, you might like our playlist featuring other offenses throughout football history. The playlist contains videos on the single wing, the T formation, the wishbone, and the first triple option offense, the veer. You'll also find some fun stuff, such as the lonesome polecat, the forerunner of the run and shoot, and the lonesome end, a story unto itself. This is John Johnston with Hardcore College Football History. Thank you for watching.